Oh, hi, I'm Phyllis Andrews. I'm in charge of several things at this organization today.
Hi, I'm Michael Sales. I'm one of the people who's speaking today, and we're doing stage management. Phyllis and I are doing stage management, just like always.
And of course, my name is Vincent Keys, and I have the honor of serving the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People here in Collier County.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Save Our Planet Earth Day Jamboree. Everybody just leave your stands for a few minutes or leave someone on your stand. Come gather around the front of the stage. We are going to honor some of our local veterans, and then we have a special surprise for you. Lieutenant, United States Army, 1963 to 65.
Pamela Hostetter, U.S. Army, 1974 to 1978.
Wasn't that long ago.
Yes, John Reynolds, United States Army, 1966 to 1968.
And sing our national anthem, and we will reference the flag that is right there, folks.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight?
And now we have a surprise for you. You see this blue and yellow bunting across the front of the stage? Well, that's in honor of the people who are fighting a desperate mission in Ukraine. So we have members of the Ukrainian National Women's League. Teresa Heitman.
Good morning. It's my honor to be here to proclaim this proclamation. Whereas the City of Naples is actively planning for and adapting to climate change impacts such as sea level rise, increased storm surge, and more extreme rain and heat events. And whereas Collier County Waterkeeper has succeeded in federating government agencies, scholastic institutions, nonprofits, and renewable energy corporations from the private sector for this event, all to bring heightened awareness to the environment and climate change. Therefore, I, Teresa Heitman, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor of the City of Naples, Florida, do here proclaim that the fourth weekend of April as Save Our Planet Earth Day Jamboree weekend in the City of Naples, and I call upon all residents to recognize the importance of combating climate change in our community. I declare that Save Our Planet Earth Day Jamboree is officially open.
Thank you very much, folks. Thank you very much. You all know about the Naples Botanical Garden. Well, we have with us today the President, CEO of the Naples Botanical Garden. And before we do that, Michael is going to read a factoid. During the day, we're going to read environmental factoids.
It is one of the three defining issues of our age, says the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Climate change remains a clear and present threat.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you Donna McGinnis, President, CEO of the Naples Botanical Garden.
Good morning, everybody. It is fantastic to be here among a group of people that feel as passionately about the earth as we do at Naples Botanical Garden. You are going to hear from some of the smartest, most educated, most experienced people today that know what's happening with our environment and know what to do about it. So if you decide then that you want to be involved in planting trees, another really important thing to remember is they have to be the right trees. They have to be our trees. They have to be Southern Florida trees or Caribbean trees. Because if you bring a tree down from Georgia or frankly even Tallahassee, they aren't going to do as well. They aren't made for this area.
What the paintings are, and I'm doing a painting right now of the backwater of Key Waden, showing the blue-green thread and the red tide looking through the Gulf. So our paradise that needs work.
Thank you, Paul. And Paul has been so supportive of this event. He's on our steering committee. He's worked tirelessly, donated these paintings, well, loaned them to us for the stage decor. He's doing some live painting over there, so I encourage you to go check that out.
Next slide. All right, this is the new oil spill. This is the current version of what fossil fuels are doing to us. And many of you recognize this graph. This is the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Gotta do things, do bad things. You wanna do things, do good things. Yeah. Talk about cash, money, yeah. Talk about cash, money, dollar bills, yo, yeah. Come on, ladies. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money.
In part, I know they've been working hard because members of Naples United Church of Christ have been partnering with this important group, as well as members of our community I know have been putting so much effort into this.
A 2020 report stated that the United States, our country, uses 18.1 million barrels a day.
And you can see right now we're at about 1.1, 1.2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. And what we've got going right now is droughts, extreme droughts, world wildfires, flooding, extreme precipitation events. We've got much of Greenland ice melting, much of the Antarctic ice melting, and that's at just 1.1, 1.2. So we're trying to hold it to 1.5, so you can imagine the upheaval that's going to create, and if we get to 1.5. So it is incumbent on each and every one of us to reduce our carbon footprint, put pressure on elected officials, put pressure on our international governments to try to rein this problem in. That's why we're here today.
I'm hopefully, does anyone here know of Greta Thunberg? Greta's honestly one of my personal heroes. I got to meet her at the Madrid Climate Conference in 2019 and got to meet her again in Scotland in 2021. Although they literally locked her out of the Scotland conference. I wonder why. But essentially, she went outside the conference and event, and she essentially said, blah, blah, blah. I think that rings true pretty much for all young people looking at previous generations and seeing the statistics, seeing what we're having to deal with right now.
I'm gonna find me a hole in the wall. I'm gonna crawl inside and die. Yeah. A sweet old man, yeah. A sweet old man, Lord. He never told me goodbye. No, I can't see it. Can't see.
And our Earth ambassador Ecological Laboratories, and we're about to hear from Doug Dent, who's the Vice President of Ecological Laboratories in Cape Coral. WGCU NPR, don't we love NPR? They're here. They're going to be speaking a little later. Botswana, the people who brought this tiny truck into the park. Botswana, and Harrison Langley, who's standing right there at our tent with his hand up, is the President and CEO of Botswana. He's also the Executive Director of Collier County Waterkeeper and the founding waterkeeper. I took over for him in October, but he was the Collier County Waterkeeper from 2015 to 2021. So thank you, Harrison, and thanks for bringing this thing into the park. We also have the Old Naples Surf Shop, and I think I saw Sharda here earlier. I don't know if she's still here. The woman who owns the Old Naples Surf Shop. The Escalante Hotel, just minutes from here, a beautiful enclave in the heart of Naples, wonderful hotel. The Langley family, Gwen is here. She's one of our lead steering committee members, and Harrison is also here. And Wrap My Tesla. Wrap My Tesla, this is these right here. You want to do the Tesla? Okay.
So, Wrap My Tesla, wonderful way to take your car and make it into something like beyond my imagination. But I also want to say to you, very importantly, that we have a representative from Tesla Naples here who wants to offer test and shared rides to anyone who wants to have the experience of riding in a Tesla. It's right over there. It's a one-time opportunity. There you go. And our One World ambassadors, finishing up with him, Collier Freedom, the Crowther Building and Crowther Roofing, thank you. The Naples Pathway Coalition, who also supplied these wonderful bike racks that we have here, Echo Voice, Optima, and last but in no way least, the Andrews family, Phyllis Andrews and her husband David. Thank you so much.
So we really couldn't do this without our sponsors. They were so helpful in helping to support us and allow us to put the scenery on stage and outfit the park. So very, very appreciative of our sponsors.
Have you seen the ocean? Have you walked across the sea? Have you seen the ocean? Are you living in a foreign land?
Plastique partout, bonheur nulle part. Nous avons fait notre devoir. Polluer, sonder, l'humanité vulgarisée. L'eau en plastique, c'est plus pratique. Même un impact catastrophique. Destructeurs sans honneur, nous sommes devenus des pollueurs. La question se pose, pourquoi recycler quand je peux gâcher? Dois-je en faire ma cause? Du plastique à Romain aquatique. Les bords de mer sont bien plus clairs grâce au plastique et conteneurs. C'est bien plus simple de tout jeter, laisser la mer s'en occuper. Le recyclage m'en fout pas mal, car je ne vois pas ce que je fais de mal. Et quel futur à partager, c'est au présent que j'aime aimer. La question se pose.
So basically my talk today is going to be a little bit different. It's about water. And there's a factor called the cause of eutrophication. That's what I want to talk about. For those of you that aren't familiar with the term eutrophication, it stands for the enrichment of waterways. And the enrichment of the waterways is something we can do about. So I've been listening about petitions and how we deal with the government. This is something that you can do and you can do today, is to get an understanding of exactly what's going on. This is giving you an example, if you take a look at this thing, of what urban sprawl does. If you can think of pervious and impervious surface, if you go back 50 to 100 years ago, especially if you come here, there was one big lake, Spring Lake, that was your water supply. There were no houses, there were no communities.
We're projected by 2000 to be at 800 parts per million. We're supposed to be keeping that number down below 350. So we've already well shot over that target. Electric vehicle, because my contribution with my fossil fuel burning is trivial. A nation could think similarly. It's okay if we don't cut our carbon emissions as a nation because China and India are not going to follow suit. That kind of mentality complicates the problem.
That was Mike Savarese. He's a teacher at FGCU at the Water School, and he's doing amazing work. He also helped to create, didn't do it solo with the help of NOAA and some other institutions, the Acune report, which predicts what Naples and Collier County is going to look like in 2030, 2060, and the end of the century. And it calls for concern. You know, with the sea level rise that's predicted, storms. So we really got to get a handle on this for our own well-being, for the well-being of humanity. During the day, we've been reading these factoids about the environment. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Barbara Gregory.
Now get this, we're all just coming in off of COVID. We're not done with it yet. But one of the major concerns of some biologists is that disease spores may be hidden in century-old ice caps, which means that if melted, or maybe when melted, they may release diseases both old and those we don't yet know.
So I don't know if you got that, but the permafrost up in the Arctic has been holding atmosphere for millennia. And now that the ice is melting, it may release toxins that we don't know about that have been captured and sequestered in the ice. So there's another concern for us. So now I would like to introduce a friend of mine. His name is Joseph Bonastia. And Joseph is the chairman of the Florida Rights of Nature Network. So I don't know if you guys know about the Rights of Nature Network, but it's a really interesting movement. In Orange County in Orlando, it was voted, the right to clean water was voted by an 88% plurality. In other words, the people of Orange County, and that's Orlando, voted to accord rights to nature. This will help even the balance between developers and financial interests and trench interests who really just want to develop all of Florida and the wetlands and whatnot. If the Florida Rights of Nature takes hold, that will counteract some of the leverage. It'll help even the playing field so that nature has a fighting chance. So Joseph Bonastia is an expert on this. I urge you to read the op-ed that ran. So there's an activist and a filmmaker that you may have heard about. I showed his movie about 3 months ago called Phosphate, and it's about the mosaic mining and the phosphate industry, which is really a scourge. And fertilizer, commercial fertilizer, dumps all kinds of toxins into the watersheds. There's cancer clusters around mosaic mining, and not just mosaic. Phosphate mining is just a disaster to begin with, and it's all ultimately to make chemical fertilizer. You heard from Doug Dent, Ecological Labs. They're making biological fertilizer from microbes, chemical-free. So there are ways to do it. So the mosaic mining industry is really very deleterious, very damaging. For every ton of fertilizer created, there are 5 tons of radioactive waste. Let me just repeat that. For every ton of fertilizer created, there are 5 tons of radioactive waste. And that just sits on the landscape for a couple hundred years. The Piney Point leak up in Tampa was a gypsum stack from mining, not Mosaic Mining, another mining company. And you saw the damaging effect of that leak of Piney Point, and they haven't solved the problem. It looks like it's going to spring another leak. Very, very damaging. So we're going to show a little movie. Well, Eric's going to talk to us. He was supposed to be here. He got detained in Los Angeles, so he created a little video for us. And then we're going to see a short trailer on his movie Phosphate. So enjoy, folks.
is life. The water should not give you a life sentence with a chronic illness or cancer just because of where you live. Currently, environmental cancers are on the rise, and one big cause of them down in Florida is mosaic, phosphate mining. Mosaic is permitted to take over 100 million gallons of groundwater a day, use it in their process, and then return it back into the rivers, the same rivers which all the animals and communities need for survival. The test that we took showed that there was accelerated cancer-causing levels of radiation in the water they were returning to the rivers. Dying manatees, excessive red tide.
Thanks, Casey. We're really excited about this. These students did an outstanding job, and if you're not familiar with infographics, I'm sure you've seen them, you maybe just didn't know it, but as you entered into the front entrance this afternoon or this morning, you may have seen some of them hanging from the tent, and those are the actual works of the students. So we're really excited about the participation. You know, we put this together really quickly, and a number of schools responded. There's some great students, great teachers, and it worked out to, we have 30 finalists, and out of those we've selected 4. So
Thank you, Beverly. So, is there any better way to start engaging young people who basically are going to take over in a couple of years? And I think they're going to do a much better job than we did. So we're really pleased to get this kind of level of interest among high school students. And I wanted a gentleman named Russell Ringland. I think Russell and his team have been responsible for planting about 20,000 trees in Collier County and Lee County in the last 5 years. Just amazing work. So I asked him to come and join us today. So Crowther Roofing, which is one of our sponsors, and I think they're back there, helped create a little 1-minute video about Russell's work. So we're going to just, in his absence, we're going to show you the 1-minute video about Russell's work planting trees in Southwest Florida.
We've recently teamed up with Russ here with Future Forestry Foundation.
So we created so many of these factoids, we got a bunch left. Carbon dioxide is increasing 250 times quicker compared to the last ice age. 95% of the thickest Arctic ice is gone. Scientists predict that over 1/3 of the remaining glaciers will melt before 2100, and the Arctic will have ice-free summers by 2040. The Greenland ice sheet is melting 4 times quicker than in 2003, and the current rate contributes over 20% to the rising sea levels. If this sheet melts entirely, then sea levels will rise 20 feet.
We have a lot of territory that we need to cover, but we have a very small team. I wanted to just let you know that one thing we do care about is our environmental reporting. We now have a full-time environmental reporter. His name is Tom Bayless. He is an extraordinary print journalist. We're working on to get him onto WGCU FM so you can hear more of his stories, but if you would go to wgcu.org and take a look at some of what he's writing about. He's doing a terrific job. And we know how important the environment is to you, so it's our job to tell those stories and to explore and investigate those issues. I also want to invite you to sign up for what we have is a monthly environmental newsletter called The Green Flash. Does anyone know what a green flash is? Raise your hand.
So as you know, my name's Aaron, and we did create these. And actually, these are made with wood from pallets that would have otherwise just been thrown away. And we sanded them down and made them all pretty and repurposed them. Landscapes are obviously super important and have a huge effect on the environment and how things are changing. So how we manipulate these landscapes, how we introduce things to them, plays a very important role. The basics, of course, are air, how the water flows, food for wildlife, and also shelter, not only for wildlife, but for ourselves. Some positives associated with doing landscaping in a more natural and Florida-compatible way is, of course, more oxygen. If you got more plants, you got more oxygen, and everyone loves to breathe, I hope. We have more shade, which in effect allows you to use less air conditioning and provides you with a more comfortable outside area. Of course, carbon sequestration, that's probably been mentioned a million times here today. And of course, wetlands are better than just planting trees, but trees are also better than nothing. We can plant native stuff to prevent erosion or runoff problems. We can filter our air, again, filter the water, the soil, create a better habitat for things. And of course, make our spaces beautiful.
That's why they say you don't walk into the storm. You don't walk into the storm. You don't walk into the storm. You just run and hide to save your life. Oh, you don't walk into the storm. You don't